Hey kids, Math here. Today's our second video in acid and base, the last chapter we're doing for this year. I want to talk to you a little bit today about pH. pH is a measure of acidity or basicity in a chemical solution. Okay, and by that we mean it's going to be a measure of the H. Now this P, don't let that fool you. That P is simply a measure of negative log. And this is just a base 10 log. We're not going to do any calculation in arranging or solving for. All we need to know is to press the log button on our calculator. As long as we know we can press that, the thing to keep in mind is this is a negative log. pH is a negative log of, in this case, the concentration of H. I could have a POH. That would be the negative log because of the P of, in this case, the OH. So POH, pH. Those are the two things we pretty much keep track of in this chapter, especially its chapter on acids and bases. And so there are a couple of things we need to keep track of. The first we reviewed in the other video yesterday, and that was that what we're plugging in is concentration here. This is the molarity. This is why we learned molarity. We've been using this all fourth quarter, where we need to keep track of our concentration of our solutions because that's going to have an effect on their behavior. Now we know these two constants for any solution. And what we know is the concentration of H times the concentration of OH is going to equal 1 times 10 to the negative 14th. That pretty much for us is going to be an always scenario. It will change ever so slightly with varying temperature, but for our calculations, to keep things simple, we're just always going to say H times OH equals 1 10 to the negative 14th. So we're going to have to remember how to plug that into our calculators. The other thing we then know is that the pH plus the POH is going to equal 14. And then we can hop on in and just do a couple pretty simple pH calculations here. These are our pH tables. And what we do know is you'll be given one of these columns. And so in our case, this first row, we were given that the concentration of H is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 5th. So to get, the first thing I would do is take that and I would find out the pH. Press negative log 1 EE negative 5, and that should give me a pH of 5. Now, if I know pH plus POH is 14, then 14 minus 5 gives me a POH of 9. Once I know these two have to add up to 14. And if I know that pH is less than 7, then I know that this is going to be an acidic solution. See, ABN stands for acidic, basic, or neutral. It's acidic if it's less than 7, basic if it's greater than 7, and neutral only if it is equal to exactly 7. 6.99 is acidic, 7.01 is basic. Okay? Now, the last one I've got left to do in this one is the OH. And I could do this two ways. I can take this first row, 1 times 10 to the negative 14th equals 1 times 10 to the negative 5th times X. Or I can also do this as a 10 to the negative 9, which is just an inverse log of the inverse negative log of the POH. And that would give me 1 times 10 to the negative 9th. Let's go through two more examples. In this next one, we're given a concentration of OH. It's 2.6 10 to the negative 3rd. First thing I would do is find out the pOH. So I take the negative log of that. I find out it's 2.59. Then I find out 14 minus 2.59 is 11.4. That's way over 7, so this is going to be really basic. I put the B. Now I got to get from 11.4 back to a concentration. And I'm going to do 10 to the negative 11.41. And that's going to give me an answer of 3910 to the negative 12th. All these calculations fit together very nicely, and they're all based on the information down here in the green box. So the last one we're given a pOH. Now we got to go backwards twice. Well, first thing, let's find out the pH. So 14 minus 6.89 is 711. That's greater than 7. That's going to be basic. Okay. Then I just take 10 to the x. That's just a button on your calculator. Okay. Right down there. I've got a 10 to the x button. Press 10 to the negative 711, and I'm going to get 7, 8, 10 to the negative 8th. And if I do 10 to the negative 6.89, that's going to give me 1, 3, 10 to the negative 7. These are just calculations. Take a look at these, practice these. Please ask questions if you don't understand any of these. But this is the basis behind calculating pHs in solution, and you're going to see how that fits in the next installment, where we talk about using these concentrations and pHs in a titration, a chemical process. In the meantime, I'm Smath, and I hope this video helped you.